Wife had been flirting with her coworker. She said she would stop, but it just happened again. Is there any future in this relationship? My wife and I have been married for a little over 3 years. Last Christmas, I discovered she had been having a lengthy discussion with a colleague in which they discussed having numerous times and how they couldn't wait for the next one. The man said that he planned to reserve a hotel near their business shortly after Christmas. When he mentioned he was looking forward to seeing my wife, she would respond with comments like, "I'm looking forward to much more than just seeing you," and so on. You get the picture, excessively flirtatious. When I approached my wife, she denied having had the chat. She showed me her phone after she deleted it to verify it didn't exist. But I had taken a few photographs. She then claimed that everything was virtual and that they never did anything bodily. To illustrate her point, she messaged her colleague in front of me and asked whether he had booked the hotel, to which he answered, "Not yet." She then questioned whether he was sure they were going to meet, to which he answered no. She vowed they would never speak again, and I agreed because I loved her and wanted to believe her, but I wasn't fully certain she had been truthful. I must confess that I checked her phones much too often for a few weeks, so she changed her password, which I was all right with since I was probably being too worried. I picked up her phone this week because I required a code that had been provided to her phone number. I didn't even have to unlock the screen to access it. Surprisingly, there were further messages from the same individual behind the message with the code. One was an audio, the second was a shirtless picture of himself in front of a mirror, and the third was sweaty with a few tongue emojis. I questioned her since she had promised they wouldn't communicate again, and she said that he only wanted to show her that he's going to the gym to demonstrate improvement. But the majority of the time they chat, it's about work, and this is simply a coincidence. I begged her to show me the remainder of their texts, but she stated she had wiped their chat history by accident. My wife claims she'll change this time and that I never really forgiven her, which is why she continued talking to the man. She swears she's going to quit this time, but I'm not sure I believe her. Even if she does stop, I'm afraid she'll do it again when things aren't going so well between us. I adore her, but I can't keep living like this. Is there any case where this might work? What would your reaction be? Update. My brain just couldn't cope with the disaster and collapse of the universe I had created for myself, in which my wife is my love, best friend and companion, and the person I most respect. She was flawless, and she made me happy for many years. I believe that no other couple in the world could have what we had. For a long period, we were both overjoyed. We were both gorgeous, innately decent, had enormous hearts, and were both tremendously successful in our vocations. After the Reddit post, I relocated to an Airbnb and then to my family's house to consider things through. It was a dreadful moment, yet a psychologist assisted me in recovering from a bad mental condition. It happened at the same time as the pandemic struck my city hard. I received the virus, which didn't help. During this time, we continued to converse, and my wife apologized profusely and said that they had not met. I knew it wasn't real, but I was prepared to forgive the lady of my dreams, who remained at my universe's highest altar. Fast forward to last Saturday morning, when I returned to our apartment, determined to forgive her and work things out in the most adult manner imaginable. And, well, there she was, but I was the one who was taken aback, to say the least. My wife and the man were both nude in my home, the man in the texts, the one in the photos. She said she didn't even enjoy it. He was hidden in my bathroom as my wife was putting on her pajamas. When I saw him hiding in my restroom, he apologized, "Sorry, buddy." For a split second, I wondered, is this where I'm going to murder him? But I immediately said, I have nothing against you, since the guy was really crushing on this lovely lady. Even if he was doing it in a home full of my photos. Photographs from our wedding and our family. Images of my deceased father, who would be heartbroken to see how the marriage he never saw would end. He has always been the driving force behind my efforts to make the world a better place. 2 months before our wedding he died away. I apologize. I still adore her to the moon and back. But I've come to realize that enough is enough. Even if my universe falls apart, I hope I can rebuild a new one that isn't based on falsehoods and in which I'm not simply a blind believer worshipping a fictitious deity. Story 2. Wife cheated 11 years with significant quantity for the past 6 years. I overheard my wife talking on the phone when I was working third shift. From there, she became entangled in a cyclone of falsehoods in order to conceal who she was speaking with. I did, in fact, get candor. She had been caught and was now terrified of the implications of her conduct. There is virtually no domestic violence in this household. She seemed to be concealing something more as she confessed. I was not overreacting, and at that point, I wanted to open a door and come clean, because I knew that if there was anything more going on that I wasn't aware of, and subsequently discovered, I don't believe things would have ended out as well as they were. I have never cheated in my life. We had been dating for 5 years before we decided to tie the knot. I was /am in a happy marriage. I'm madly in love with her. We are the parents of 3 children. One was brought into the relationship by her, and the other 2 were brought into the relationship by me. We were never able to have one of our own because of financial constraints. I think my count is low. So I came up with 2 terms and said that if the answers were delivered, there would be no retribution or shouting on my part. The first was tell me something I don't already know. Tell me something I don't want to hear was the second one I heard. This broadened her perspective on the world outside of her house, where most activities were done at work. She has been communicating with the father of her kid behind my back since 2015. Her kid has been my child since she was 3 years old, since she abandoned him when he was born. She is now 14 years old. Then there followed a period of disclosure that dragged out 19 guys over the course of 5 years, as well as the specifics of her interactions with each one. She has not had relations with anybody, but she has had personal touch with others. I'm not sure how I managed to get through this. I'm devastated because she concealed this information from me, and I really believed she was in love with me the whole time it was taking place. I mean, it was as if there was nothing wrong. She said that she stigmatized me in front of them by using her line-in. We should have communicated better about some of the things that were hurting her, but she made the choice to utilize those difficulties in a different manner. They weren't really serious problems, and we were able to deal with them while we were discussing what had gone wrong. There's a lot to be said here. The fact that I can truly see her affection for me in her eyes is quite strange to me. So the ache is a little strange. It may be really destructive at times, and I have that crying fit when my body shuts down. I'm not very good at crying. At the age of 42, I am a physically fit guy. She is 34 years old and very beautiful in appearance. She is quite attractive. She was courteous to me. I have no regrets about marrying her since I admired and adored her, and our closeness is still good because we agreed that the marriage would not be based just on attraction. I believe the reason I'm writing this is because I need to get something off my chest and to paper. I'd want the pain to at the very least subside rather than suddenly erupting from nowhere. Since catching her, I've only had 26 hours of sleep. I'm losing weight at a rapid pace. I'm a complete for wanting to be with her, but I'm completely sucked into her. In her admissions, she has shown dissatisfaction with herself, and based on her degree of honesty, I believe she wanted to be free of that existence. She said that she was relieved after being apprehended. She gladly surrendered her phones as well as all of her digital accounts. This is a complete and utter disaster, but there's a price to pay. I need to find out this agony. After airing things out, hashing things out, and unraveling everything, it's as if her doing what she did was the only thing that was wrong with the situation. The thought of going through this is terrifying. Those who take the time to read this, thank you very much. I simply wanted to get this off my chest.